Myths are stories about uncertain and unverifiable events, but on which a tradition is built that presents them as real. Through them, we can see into the ancient world. They allow us to know the vision that a certain culture had about life. On what values was their ideal to aspire focused? And what were the vices and defects that they should avoid? Searching through their fantastic stories, we find descriptions of characteristics that can certainly be human, showing both sides of the coin. As in the centaurs, who had a contradictory reputation, of prudence, but also of misconduct. With this brief introduction, I present 3 Greek myths. Myth 1. Demeter and Persephone. Demeter was the protective goddess of the seasons, and in general of nature. She shared these characteristics with her daughter Persephone, whom she had had after her union with Zeus. The most common representation of the goddess was that of a matron, a familiar and sympathetic figure, who carried a bunch of ears of corn. Her daughter Persephone was a young and beautiful girl who lived surrounded by nymphs, along with her stepsisters Athena and Artemis. Her beauty caught the attention of Hades, god of the underworld, who wanted to make her his wife. He decided to kidnap the girl when she saw a great-looking flower and was distracted by looking at it, at which point Hades took the naive young woman. When Demeter learned that her daughter had been kidnapped, she decided to stay on Earth until she was returned, relinquishing her divine responsibilities. No god wanted to help her for fear of having conflicts with Hades, so Demeter began to wander the world restlessly, disguised as an old woman and lamenting the disappearance of her daughter. By abandoning her responsibilities as goddess of the seasons, she caused the seasons to alter, leaving the earth in permanent winter, killing crops, and bringing famine. Seeing this, Zeus ordered Persephone's release. Hades, upon hearing her order, forced her captured to eat a pomegranate from the underworld. This is because, if a soul ate in the kingdom of Hades, she had to stay there forever. With this plan, she was bound to stay with him. The final solution that Zeus proposed to satisfy both parties was to divide Persephone's time. During 2/3 of the year she would be with her mother, and the rest she would spend with her husband. Demeter's joy at recovering her daughter caused the fields to begin to bloom as she passed, the crops to bear fruit, and the trees to blossom. Myth 2. The sadness of Antigone. Antigone was the daughter of Oedipus and Jocasta. She was the model of filial love and brotherly affection. She took this figure due to the cruel struggle for the throne of Thebes, where her 2 brothers, Polynices and Eteocles, both claiming the throne, ended up dying. According to the myth, both brothers had to alternate the throne from time to time, but Eteocles broke this agreement and kept the position, denying his brother the possibility of the ruling. So Polynices went to Argos, a rival city, and raised an army to conquer Thebes. After a bloody battle, he defeated the defending army of Thebes, but both brothers died. At the end of the war, Creon, Antigone's uncle, took over as king of Thebes and ordered that Eteocles be honored while forbidding Polynices to be honored, condemning his body not to be buried and to be devoured by scavengers. Creon ordered this punishment because Polynices wanted to conquer Thebes with a foreign army. However, Antigone decided to disobey her uncle, her king, buried her brother Polynices, and performed all the funeral rites for her. And when she is done with her sisterly duty, she is surprised by the king's guard and is brought before him. Creon sentences her to death and she is locked up alive in a tomb, where Antigone ends up hanging herself. Later, Haemon, Antigone's fiancé, and Creon's son finds out what happened and also decides to end her life. This chain of misfortunes also ended with Eurydice, mother of Haemon and wife of Creon, who decides to commit suicide after losing her son. These events would cause deep suffering in Creon, who realizes his mistake and that he ended up causing her own misfortune. Myth 3. Aconcio and Cidípe. Aconcio was a very handsome young man, but above all cunning, who fell madly in love with a girl named Cidípe, who belonged to a family of a higher class than Aconcio's. For this reason, she could not approach him. One day, when Cidípe was in the temple of Artemis, goddess of the hunt, Aconcio threw him an apple with an inscription, a typical loving gift, but it had a phrase that would mark the destiny of the young woman. The text that contained the inscription read, "I swear by Artemis that I will not marry anyone but Aconcio." Since they were in a temple, that is, a sacred place, these words had to be fulfilled. Sometime later, Cidípe's father began preparations for his daughter's wedding, which had been arranged when she was still a child, but now she was old enough to get married. However, he had to suspend the wedding 3 times because each time it got closer, Cidípe would become seriously ill. When the family realized what was happening, they went to the oracle of Delphi, where the cause of the girl's illness was revealed to them. Aconcio, who had found out what happened, went to Athens, where the family of Cidípe resided. Finally, the girl's father allowed Aconcio to marry her, since despite not having valuable assets he was a man worthy of her, and therefore the wedding was celebrated, forming a happy marriage. These 3 myths are part of different epic poems or Greek tragedies. They are fascinating stories that leave us thinking and allow us to learn about daily life in ancient times. Follow me if you want to know more about history and literature.